Tears rolled down Nina's face as she watched the man hang her painting. She was very excited. She knew that the painting would be seen by everyone, and she feared that her little dream, that fragile hope of being appreciated, could collapse at any moment. But in that moment, just when all seemed lost, Nina's life was about to change forever, in ways she never imagined. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss stories like this. But now, I wish you a good viewing. Nina had not had an easy childhood. Abandoned in front of a convent on a cold winter morning, she had been taken in by the nuns, but life in the convent had never given her the warmth she so desired. Raised under the strict guidance of Sister Virginia, a stern but fair woman, Nina had learned to rely only on herself. Her disability, a right leg shorter than her left, had made her the target of ridicule and evil laughter from the children of the village. Every day was a challenge, walking to school, ignoring the jokes, and hiding the tears behind a stony face. As the years passed, Nina began to feel that her destiny was not to remain closed within the walls of the convent. Prayers and charitable works were no longer enough for her. She dreamed of a different future, far from religious rigor, a future in which she could express her true self. But the courage to leave that place that, for better or for worse, had welcomed her, seemed to elude her. Everything changed when, during one of her rare trips to the market, she noticed a small ad on a pole. A cleaning lady was wanted for a nearby farm, accommodation included. Nina's heart leapt. This was her chance. Without thinking twice, she tore up the ad and hid it in her dress pocket. That same night, she made the decision that would change her destiny. With courage, she asked Sister Virginia's permission to go and resolve a personal matter. The nun, although she saw the determination in Nina's eyes, reluctantly agreed. And so, with few possessions and much hope, Nina undertook the long journey to the farm. The journey was difficult, especially because of her disability, but the young woman did not give up. Along the way, a horse-drawn cart stopped to offer her a ride. The man driving, Patrick, a gruff but kind-hearted young man, looked at her suspiciously when she explained that she was looking for work on the farm. "So, how do you plan on doing with that leg?" he asked, looking at her obvious physical defect. Nina wasn't intimidated. "I know I can do it," she replied, looking him straight in the eye. "Just give me a chance and I'll prove it to you." Patrick stared at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Well, we'll see. It starts tomorrow." When Nina returned to the convent to gather her things, the nuns knew she wouldn't be coming back. Despite their sadness at seeing her go, they wished her good luck. Life on the farm was hard, but Nina threw herself into her work. Every day she woke up before dawn to make sure the house was spotless, despite her handicap. Over time, Patrick began to see her in a different light too, admiring her determination. One day, after completing her chores, Nina decided to explore an old abandoned barn. Among the forgotten objects, she found canvases, brushes, and paints. At that moment, childhood memories came back to her. When she was a child, art was her only escape, the only way to express what she felt. Without thinking too much, she mounted one of the canvases on an easel and began to paint. Time seemed to stand still as Nina delicately traced the first brush strokes, completely immersed in the flow of her inspiration. Each movement of the brush was guided by a deep emotion, and little by little, a painting began to take shape that captured the essence of the majestic farmhouse and the lush garden that surrounded it. Patrick, casually passing by the barn, saw her concentrating on the canvas, almost hypnotized by her work. Intrigued, he approached silently, observing the painting with growing interest. "You really are talented," he finally told her, his tone sincere but almost hesitant, as if he didn't want to admit how impressed he was. Soon after, however, he regained his composure, trying to hide his astonishment behind a neutral, almost detached expression. Time passed, and the day of the farm owner's return approached. Patrick was nervous. He wanted everything to be perfect. One afternoon, while painting a wall, he tripped and spilled paint on the wall. Panic gripped him. With his owners arriving at any moment, he didn't know what to do. It was then that Nina, in a bold move, decided to propose a solution, using her painting to cover the stain. Patrick hesitated, but then, under time pressure, agreed. They placed the painting right over the stain, trying to hide the disaster. If you like the story, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other stories like this. Thanks. The owners of the farm arrived shortly after, greeted by the fresh air and the smell of the perfectly clean house. However, as soon as they entered the living room, their eyes fell on Nina's painting. The family was speechless. One of the guests, fascinated by the beauty of the painting, asked who the artist was. "Who painted this?" asked the owner of the farm, Luciano, in a voice full of curiosity. Nina, hidden in a corner, held her breath. With a shy smile, Patrick admitted that it was Nina who had painted the picture. Luciano, deeply moved by the work, approached Nina with a determined step the next day. His gaze was admiring and full of respect. "You are incredibly talented," he told her, in a warm and sincere voice, which seemed to dig deep into her insecurities. "I would like to buy the painting. And you know, many of my friends have already asked me who the author of such a wonderful work is. I have no doubt that you have a great future ahead of you if you decide to follow this path." Those words resonated inside her, changing everything. For years, Nina had lived in uncertainty, suffocated by doubts and the limits imposed by her fears. But in that moment, something unlocked. She really began to believe in herself, feeling that perhaps for the first time, her life could take a different direction. With a heart full of hope, she accepted the commissions that were offered to her to paint more farms, portraits, and landscapes. Her life took a radical and unexpected turn, opening doors that she never imagined were within her reach.